Greetings and welcome back to Room 303 and our talks with Walt as we are calling our readings through the deathbed edition of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. We turn now to a little poem, Paumanok, poem number 2 of the 58 of Sands at 70. Of course, Paumanok we're very familiar with if we've already read up to this point in the deathbed edition of Leaves of Grass. Of course, Long Island being celebrated with the Aboriginal name is the way that it was used in Mannahatta, the poem that will precede this. Of course, we're all together familiar with the ways in which we know this word from the very early inscriptions poems starting from Paumanok. Our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Talks with Walt, our playlist, and that you've been with us from those very early inscription poems, like starting from Paumanok, and as well a set of introductory comments to Sands at 70, and then finally we've already worked with Mannahatta. Our Nortons will give us some background information on this one. It was first published in the New York Herald, February the 29th, 1880. And of course, it's immediately going to take us back to the autobiographical poem starting from Paumanok and, of course, his celebration of Long Island. So it's fascinating that at the beginning of this first annex, we are going to have 2 poems, really 3, because we've got Montauk Point coming, that will celebrate place. And I think he learned this from his study of Wordsworth's Tintern Abbey, lines composed a few miles above Tintern Abbey. Let's enjoy now this poem and remind ourselves that we have Paumanok mentioned 15, 16 times in Leaves of Grass, depending on how you count. And of course, starting from Paumanok starting I Fly, and a Paumanok picture have all been part of titles where Paumanok was mentioned. He'll say it this way: See beauty, stretched and basking one side thy inland ocean laving, broad with copious commerce, steamers' sails, and one the Atlantic's wind, caressing fierce or gentle, mighty holes dark gliding in the distance, isle of sweet brooks of drinking water, healthy air and soil, isle of the salty shore, and breeze and brine. Notice all of the exclamation points right away. There's 4 of them, so this is a celebratory poem, no question. And again, he comes to the word beauty, and we saw that one as well in Mannahatta. Stretched and basking, it's as if now we're going to personify this island. But I want to pay attention to the sounds. Notice all of the S and C sounds and the B sounds that will start this poem out. One side thy inland ocean laving, and of course we've seen how he loves to use that word in Leaves of Grass. Broad with copious commerce, steamers, sails. The fact that he mentions commerce, and then later we're going to have these mighty hulls dark gliding in the distance, will return us to the fact that Whitman was always dancing that dance about technology and obviously mercantilism and capitalism. In other words, it is going to be that dance between the natural and the technological. No question, we're playing that game here. And one, the Atlantic's wind caressing, fierce or gentle. That idea that the Atlantic can be both of those 2 things. Mighty hulls, dark gliding in the distance. So now we get this panoramic view. We've seen this so regularly in Leaves of Grass. Isle is used twice, and the first line will be of sweet brooks. We're back to this idea of sweetness, of drinking water. And then he uses the word healthy. Air and soil takes us back to Song of Myself 46, obviously. Isle of the salty shore, and breeze and brine. The idea that Long Island is for health. Now obviously we read this set of lines today and we can be a bit disturbed given that unfortunately some of the water of that area is not drinking water, and that saddens us obviously. And obviously there's a different kind of understanding today about how all of the population has created some environmental challenges for us in that area of Long Island and elsewhere. And yet, really what's going on here at 2A? Well, I think that Whitman is really saying that nature is always going to be fierce, but it's also always going to have its gentle side. We can find ourselves thinking about the yin-yang symbol, for example. At 2B, I love the repetition of B sounds and C and S sounds and the way they move back and forth. This is a fun poem to read out loud. Children love to hear this poem read out loud. They are attracted to those sounds. And then, of course, the exclamation marks as well, the energy that he's trying to solicit. At 3A, there's a lot of poems and poets that I would challenge you to see as correlate here, but think about William Blake, Songs of Innocence, Songs of Experience. Of course, we have juxtaposed, for example, Lamb and Tiger as exemplars at learnstrong.net. the two sides, the duality of nature, if you will. You'll remember that Wordsworth says as well, "And the world is too much with us. This sea that bears her bosom to the moon, the winds that will be howling at all hours, and are gathered now like sleeping flowers. For this, for everything we're out of tune. It moves us not." And I think standing behind this poem is some of those lines as well. Finally, at 3B, what place for you in nature both brings out its ferocity as well as its gentleness? I know several of you will think about several places on the hill that maybe you like to hike to that will showcase both of those. I hope that you're enjoying these poems from the first annex. Thank you.